he querido que el primer entrevistado de nuestro video sea precisamente el Padre Cooper, nuestro párroco, nuestro rector. Thank you, Father. Thank you for having this time for us. The first question I have for you is, what's your full name? Because we only know you by Father Cooper.
Very Irish, Michael Francis Cooper.
And it has some meaning or some reason?
Well, my sister is Sean, good Irish name for a boy. And my parents wanted to name me Shane, so Sean and Shane, which is just horrible. And my grandmother stepped in and said, how about we name him Michael? She had a great love of the Archangel Michael, and there was an Irish freedom fighter named Michael Collins that she liked. So my mother was very specific growing up that I was not a Mike. So I don't answer to Mike. I've never been called Mike. It's always been Michael. So she was afraid that people would, call me Mike. So she was always sure. And then Francis, of course, the great St. Francis.
Where did you born, Father?
I was born in Burbank, just down the road.
Okay.
St. Joseph's Hospital. It's still there. Went all through Burbank schools. Was a member of St. Francis Xavier Parish in Burbank, a Holy Cross parish that I grew up in.
Have you ever lived in another state?
I went to college for 2 years in very cold South Bend, Indiana at the University of Notre Dame.
So far?
Yeah, very far and very cold in the winter. Yeah.
So you prefer California,
How
right?
much so, yeah, my blood does.
All right. Tell us about your family, your parents, your siblings.
My dad was the baby of 4. My grandparents came over from Ireland. My dad was born in 1924. His name was Keith, on a farm in South Dakota. No electricity, no running water. They were farmers. And he was a great man, a very, very hard worker. They moved to Burbank, California in 1932, right before the war. He was a World War II veteran, was drafted out of high school into World War II, and spent the rest of his life as a supervisor for a company in Burbank. My mom was a good Scottish Presbyterian before she married my Irish Catholic father, and then she became Catholic. Okay. She was born in North Carolina, so she was a Southern lady, very proper, and yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, very, very proper, and the dinner table was always perfect. And she and my grandma moved out here right after the war, World War II, because my uncle, her brother, was stationed out here. So my parents met out here in Burbank, both living in Burbank, and met in Burbank and got married, and the rest is history. They were married over 50 years when my dad passed away from cancer.
Okay.
And then I have an older sister who is 8 years older than I am, Sean, and she's married with 2 kids. I have a niece and a nephew, and they live out in Valencia.
Okay.
So they're close.
And what about Lily?
Lily is something else. I have an older daughter that a lot of people forget about. She's 31, Corey Ann. She's a social worker up in Santa Cruz and married to Colin. And I have 3 granddaughters. So Harper, who's 5, Cameron McKenzie, who will be 4, and Amelia, who's almost 2. Okay. All girls. No boys in my family but me. And then Lily is 18 and very proud, working full-time and almost full-time and going to school.
Yeah. I think we all know Lily. We saw her growing in this parish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about your religious life, when did you arrive to St. Nicholas, and what's your history before, prior?
Well, I've known since I was 9 years old that I was called to be a priest. I was one of those altar boys. I used to serve 2 masses on Sunday, and when I was finishing 8th grade, I very much wanted to go into the high school seminary and then, be a priest. And my parish priest said, no, you're too young. If you still feel this way when you get out of high school, then come see me and, we'll take care of it then. And by high school, I had a girlfriend, pretty serious girlfriend. But I always knew that somewhere, I was called to priesthood. So I went off and became a policeman for 20 years. And did that and loved it. And then, found when I retired from that, went back to school and taught theology. Was going to be a college professor, a theology professor, and my parish priest said, come up to the church and work as a layperson. So I did, and then that evolved into ordained life after my marriage broke up. So I've known since I was 9, and I have this great desire, like you, Father, to be a member of a religious community, but I have too much stuff. So maybe someday, maybe Benedictine, but even my spiritual director says, no, you're not meant to be a Benedictine. But, you know, that religious life is very present now. Okay. So especially with me just being by myself, with Lily, you know, gone, my older daughter gone, I'd love to have, you know, a community of priests to live with and be with.
Right. When were you ordained and when you arrived to St. Nicholas?
God, I never remember my ordination date. I have to look at my ordination certificates. I worked for Bishop Bruno for 8 years, 2 years as a layperson, and then ordained priest. I came here in 2010 in February, so it'll be the start of my 11th year this coming February. And before I came here, I had done religious education and youth ministry for the diocese. And then the last 2 years, I was the pastor of St. Paul's downtown, the Cathedral Center parish, and doing religious education, both duties. And then from there, the bishop would, I called him, I was his utility guy. He would send me, like I spent 3 months out in Beaumont at St. Stephen's. I spent 4 months down at St. Francis and Palos Verdes. I was all over the place. A priest would retire or leave, and he'd send me down there for a couple months until he chose their new pastor. And I had been interested in St. Nicholas a long time ago because it's a Catholic church, and I'm a Catholic. And so I had always been interested, and there was always someone here. So I got sent to Long Beach and thought, well, okay, I'm going to be in Long Beach for a while. And the bishop called me and he said, are you still interested in St. Nicholas of Myra? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he said, okay, good. You start there Monday. Okay. And he placed me here, and it's been beautiful. I've never been in a parish where people get along so well. People like each other. They like to be together. They go out for dinner together. They do. And I'm not just talking the English community. I'm talking, the Latino community also. Come walking in together. They're always together. People are always together, and they like each other. They like to do things together. So it's quite a unique place.
After 10 years, what do you like most on St. Nicholas?
Wow, that's a hard question. There's Winston. He's here too with me. Yeah, he's the altar boy.
The acolyte.
Yeah, the acolyte. I love the people's faithfulness. I've never been in a parish where we've been able to staff the altar of repose from 9 o'clock at night till noon the next day. People wanting to come and be present with Christ in the Eucharist. I love that people are family, that people respect each other, they like each other, and they're faithful people. It makes it easy.
And what else would you like to see in our parish?
I'd like to see us grow in numbers, especially the English Mass. Our numbers are steady. I would love to see more families come with kids. That's one thing the Spanish Misa has, is lots of families with kids, and we only have a couple at the English Mass. I would love to see, because I think this parish and this community really lends itself to children and to families coming together, moms and dads with their kids. So I would love to see families grow. And we try to do the religious education to bring them in, and we really are geared for kids. We just need to, especially at the English Mass, just get more of them here. That's what I'd really love to see. And more education for our adults. I know your Bible study is hugely successful and people love it. So we need to do, once COVID ends, I have visions of us doing a lot more, adult catechesis, adult religious education. I think it's important.
It's good that people know that you are still working with the police department, right?
I am. I'm a reserve and a chaplain, and I work. I have to work 20 hours a month, so 2 10-hour shifts a month. That's required, but it ends up being a lot more. And I just got off 4 years where I was the senior chaplain. I was the head chaplain of the whole department for 4 years. So administratively, that was a lot. And Lynn sees we have a lot of our meetings here. Mm-hmm. So if you ever come in during the day and there's lots of police cars, it's it's because we're having a meeting here. But I love that ministry. It's a great way to take me being a policeman and a priest and putting them together. And the officers really, especially now with all that's going on with the civil unrest, really have a hard time. They're really not feeling supported and loved, and it's been really, really tough for me to try to go in and help them make sense of all of this. But it's a really important ministry.
Okay. Our last question, Father, is any personal project, any familiar project?
Personal projects, no. Nothing for me personally. More for the parish, like I said. As you announced this weekend, we're going to begin an adoration every week. I think that will be important. I think just as 2021 comes around and we hopefully will get through the pandemic and we'll get back to where we were, I think we need to have a revisit of our faithfulness and our prayerfulness and our holiness, and recognize that. So any way that we can do that, and I would say to people, if you have ideas of ways for us to grow the parish, ways for us, to engage more, maybe half-day retreats here at the parish, more Bible study, more religious education. I think that really needs to be our focus to get us back on track. And again, I'd like to see a maybe deeper sense of awe in the sacramental life here in the church. A deeper devotion to the Eucharist. I have in my mind, when we were out front on the porch, you with the monstrance, with the Blessed Sacrament, going around and blessing every one of the cars that came in. To me, I still picture that in my mind and how beautiful that was, and just the sacredness of it and the devotion to Christ in that sacrament. It was very, very powerful for me to be able to see that. And to be able to understand that and to spread that more so our people understand that we're all, kind of in that. And I think that will build our community also.
Okay, again, Father, thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure. And just so you know, this was Father Vladimir's idea to have people come in and answer questions to get to know each other a little better. And I think it's a great idea. So I look forward to seeing other people's videos too, to learn, about them, to learn their history and their family dynamic. It helps to be part of a family.
So this one was the first interview, and each one of you guys are going to be here in the next week. Saludos a todos y continuamos con nuestro video.